Hi everyone, welcome to today's Bonsai. On today's episode, we're going to trim up some larch. It is an extremely beautiful day here in Minnesota. The sun is shining and I actually can't see straight. I got to put these in right now. There. Got back from a recent annual eye checkup, which is about 4 years overdue. But they put those drops in your eyes and to dilate your eyes. And right now that sun is horrid. So I don't have a good pair of sunglasses. My last pair were cover sunglasses that were on my hat. And when I was fishing at the cabin, I lifted my hat up and just to kind of take, I lost the glasses in the river. Yeah. So they provide these nice little slip-on in the backs. Oh, I can actually open my eyes and see. So let's go grab some larch trees and get to work. So here's a peek at one of my larch trees, and this is my formal upright, my only attempt to have a tree that's straight up and down. We of course like movement in a lot of our trees. I'm going to move up just a little bit so we can see the whole tree top to bottom. I haven't been able to tackle many of my larch trees, and since I just went to the eye doctor and I'm not seeing it completely clearly, I just wanted some simple light pruning today, but still have work to do, and of course I'm excited to do the work. So instead of letting the eye dilation wear off completely, we're just going to go ahead and get started with the larch with a couple of little bit of trimming marks here. So we're looking at the front of the tree. The back of the tree has a little bit more thickness back here. Of course, these will all be staring at us in the face. This is one that died off. We're going to have to cut that one a little bit shorter or completely off. And so here is the tree. And we've got a little bit of movement up here because it's been hard to keep it now stick straight after we brought it back down a little bit. So I'm just going to give the tree a once-over and kind of peek at what's going on here. We just haven't done any pruning of this tree to get it shorter and more compact. I won't bring it down anymore in height today, but we're just going to go ahead and trim some of the branches that just are a little bit odd. Here's one right here that's growing right at me, kind of a weird sideways angle. But let's go ahead and let's start from the bottom of this tree, and then we'll go thinner and thinner as we get up towards the top. We'll leave the bottom a little bit longer, and now we're going to take off my glasses here so I can see up close and personal. We have one branch right here that's kind of growing straight up. We're going to take that one out. We have one right here that's growing straight up. We're going to take that one off right there. This one's a little bit more horizontal, but there is a nub in here that's not growing. We're just going to cut that depth off and cut off this tip, which is another just kind of a nub. We'll trim this little nub off. So we have this long growth growing back here. In the back of the tree, there's a little branch right here. Not doing anything. We have a little bit of a nub right here. Clean that up. That nub. Another tiny little branch back here. This one isn't doing anything. So this one pops up a little bit, and I've got some nice new growth right there, so I'm going to take that one off. And I think I'm going to leave the rest right there. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and shorten these. I could pinch them as well, but I'm going to cut them like that and make them just a little bit shorter. So now this guy on the right side, these aren't completely bar branches. We're going to leave them alone for right now, but we'll shorten this one back here. We'll shorten this one right here. This one's growing up again, and this one's growing up. This branch swoops up a little bit more. We've got a nice new piece of growth right there, so we can keep it compact, and we'll cut off this straight up and down one. And we'll shorten this guy right here. And this one is fine where it's at, maybe just a little bit shorter on this one. I do have some growth going down below this main branch here, so I'm actually going to cut this one going to inside out. It's going inside towards the tree, and I'll leave this one right here. And we'll see how that subdivides. There's actually a couple of divisions in here, so I might not even need, let's just take that one off too. shorten this one and shorten this one, and we'll see what happens. So now we have kind of a pad, if you will, on the right and left side. As we come up the tree, I've got this guy right here. It's growing right underneath that branch. We don't need that one. And as I turn it around, there's another one growing right out of that one. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that piece off. This is growing straight down. We're going to cut that one off. And we're looking from the front again. Got one right in here that's growing straight up. Just cut that one off. The next one's growing straight up. We'll cut that one off. And let's turn this branch around so you can all see it. Right in here. This one's growing at an angle. It's not growing straight up. I'm going to leave it a little bit for a little bit longer. We're going to cut this branch off a little bit. Trim this back a little bit. Here again we have a branch that's kind of growing inside towards the tree. The branch behind it is growing more out here and flowing. I will cut this one off though, so the branch is a little bit more isolated. And now from the front, this back branch here is kind of taken care of. And go ahead and shorten these two tips, and we have kind of our third pad right here. This branch right here, there's one growing straight up, but I'm going to leave that one for right now because it's in the back and provides some texture and we don't see it as much. I'm going to hold off. Now this one's growing right at our face. We do have a new bud right here. I'll cut this tip off and I'm going to shorten this one right here, and we're just going to leave it and hopefully get a little bit more back budding on this branch on this side of the tree. I was hoping for some back budding here. It didn't happen. But we have life here. Maybe we can get some back budding on this branch. It's a little awkward one because it kind of comes this way, but now the new growth comes this way. But I didn't want a whole big blank. Look at this, no branches all the way up to here. So we're just going to leave that one as it is. I'm going to cut off this little chunk. This one's growing down. I'm just going to shorten it, shorten it, shorten it. This one's growing back towards the tree right here. So here we have an example right here. This branch is growing right back in towards the tree. I don't want that one. It's got a nice new branch right here that's growing out only about not even an inch from the trunk. So that's really nice for some back budding. I'm going to cut those two up so now we have a little bit more flat design. There's a dead branch right in the middle here you can't see with all the foliage. And we'll just shorten and leave the rest alone. So then we go over to this branch right here. There's just a little bit of height over here that I'll just knock down, and this one is a little bit long. Got some little growth on here. We'll leave it go. Actually, no, we're going to take that one out. So we got a new bud here, and this one's still growing there. We'll decide which one to keep later. And back here, this one's growing into that one pretty heavily. If I just cut it shorter, we'll just see what happens. And then here's the one that didn't grow back. So we'll cut it off. We'll leave it. Maybe we'll make it into a gin. It's kind of in the back. You might see the gin. We'll wait and see on that one. We're going to make this one shorter. This one's growing straight up. We're up here on this branch now. We got a branch that's growing straight up into this upper part. This one's going down. We're going to cut that off so you can see as this one as well. There we go. We just opened up this space a little bit more. Now this one's growing back at us. So we're going to cut this one off right there as well and leave the rest of this to do some growing. And we'll just shorten it up like the other stuff. Now we come up to the top branch. This one's super, super lush and got a lot of energy. I want this one in the back more, so we're going to cut this one off right here. We'll cut that one shorter. And this one's growing from a branch that goes in the back. It's kind of an odd spot. We'll clean that up. We'll clean that up. We'll shorten that up. And we'll shorten a couple of these other ones up. And we'll just see how they produce this later on in this season here. Now we come up to this branch, and you'll notice right here, here's the brand new branch, and here's the old branch. So we could cut this out to keep going from thick to thinner. This will thicken up over time. Let's see if we like the position of that branch better. It's more in the back. This one's just fine. I think I'll wait and make that decision later. So I'll just cut it shorter. This one I'm going to cut off. This one's growing straight up. We're just going to cut it, we're going to cut it shorter right now and see what it does, because we're just going to cut all these shorter because we're getting the top of the tree. This one we're going to cut shorter. This one's growing in a really odd direction back towards the tree again. We'll cut those shorter. Cut this shorter, cut this shorter. This one's going down. Cut this really short, 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 and short. And let's put our sunglasses back on. Let's move our dead specimens out of the way for you. And there's the new the larch tree, trimmed up all nice. We've got it going from thin down to thicker, longer foliage, I should say. I think this one I'm going to cut back to this new growth. There we go. And we were able to tighten this all up, make it compact, and let it continue to grow this year and see what other kind of ramification we might get with the formal upright. So, this was one of the easier larches. Now it's time to tackle our larch forest. So let's go grab the heavy forest. So here is the update on the larch forest. We had put 4 trees in the forest earlier this spring to see if we could have a nice looking forest of 5, because this one was still in from the year before. We did lose one here in the back middle, but we're leaving it in there because, you know, trees die, and when you go in the forest, there's some death. So I will just leave that for right now. I have 5 trees in here now. I probably could put 2 more and go to a 7. I could put 4 more and go to a 9. But I'm going to wait till next spring during the repotting season. So this one did fine up top. We have a little bit of growth down here, but we can see we've got a little bit of brown, maybe from the heat stress on the tree. Not sure. We got some right there as well. There's some in the back here. We're going to cut that right off. And so this front tree has some very weird, bizarre growth here. But this is right here where the initial chop was when we got it from the when we collected these larch up north in the swamps. It's doing really good up top, and it's elongating. So I really don't need to do a whole lot to the tree. We wanted to continue to work on the root system because the roots were fairly weak. We're going to go ahead and cut this one that's going a little more straight up. I'm going to trim this one down. So this is just a little bit of a haircut on some of the new growth, almost like pinching, and promoting some more ramification. And we're just letting this grow this year to see what it's going to do. So a little bit of shortening on that front tree. We're going to leave this alone. I got some nice new growth deeper in this branch, so that's good. I don't know if this one's going to survive, but this could be a nice looking gin. And there's a really bad, bizarre rather, growth back here you can't see. It's kind of a cathedral style. Let me show you that. So here we go. We're in the back side of the tree, and right here we've got this kind of cathedral style, like the old growth redwoods that I saw last 2 summers ago. Is it 2 summers ago already? And look at that right there. We'll leave it for now. Shows age and kind of that old growth redwood look. You can't see it from the front, but there it is. So this big tall tree is doing okay up top and from here on up. So maybe we'll get some more back budding like right here and here. Maybe this one turned out to be really nice this year, so we can maybe get some more to fill in some of this. But this will be almost like that old growth look tree eventually. We'll maybe chop it down some more and you'll get that rounder look instead of that more conical shape because of that old growth forest. Now if I could bring your attention to the back weeping willow larch tree, we have a weeping larch. So here again, we've got some good growth from the spring. Nothing to write home about, but it's there, it's alive, and we've got these 5 dangly branches we have a bit of a weeping willow. So we're just going to go ahead and make sure all the energy can maybe point more up here. Now we cut back all the tips of that larch and we'll get maybe some more back budding. There's one back here that started going down, but now it's shooting back up, so that's really nice. So that one's pretty good. We're shifting over to the front left one now. Again, we'll just cut off a little bit of these hearts that didn't survive. We do have back budding back here, a whole new branch here and a new branch right there and there. Very nice. We'll just shorten some of this up for you. So again, these were collected trees from a couple years ago, and we just put them in the pots today. Some viewers said maybe we should have waited an extra year and got more root growth, and I agree with that. Probably would have made more success for these trees, but 3 of them are live, and these 2 are pretty plush. This one might be a little more of a struggle, but we'll get those really tall trees going, and if I add 2 to 4 more trees in here, we'll make it a lot more dense forest, and we'll hide some of the imperfections and just make a fun little forest. So there's a lot of thickness in here, but again, I don't want to cut too much off because I want this to continue to send more energy down and get these roots really developed. So I want to leave some of the foliage here. This one's coming right at us with a little bit of an eyesore. I could go ahead and let's get rid of that one right now. We'll just do that for right now. Now we've got our tree here. And we've trimmed down some of the tips. Okay, got these rocks in here still that we're holding the trees in. We're going to leave them in all season long because we've had a lot of wind this spring and summer, so we don't want to risk that. So last but not least is the original tree that was put in here, the one of the 5 that I got from the discount section at my favorite nursery store. Only one of the 5 survived over here in the corner, and it's really, really liking life. But let's get rid of this little weed here first. Yeah, nice little accent plant. Again, we thinned it out. And maybe when we repop this tree, we might twist it just ever so slightly, if we can. We've got some good growth in there. And I think we can say the forest is probably done for today. So a nice cleanup of our forest. I'll have you note, if you haven't noticed already, that we do have one of the maple seeds from the neighbor that flew into the pot. It's staying alive. You know, it's in a grove of larch that we might add more to it next spring. And if we decide to move that to a different pot, we do. Otherwise, we'll have this beautiful maple tree back here that'll get nice and reds and oranges in the fall. And this will turn kind of, you know, that golden larch color soon after that or during that phase. And then they'll all lose all their leaves. And it could be kind of cool to have one little maple tree right in the middle of this larch forest, because it blew naturally from the neighbor here. Maybe there's a maple forest nearby and the seed blew over here and got into this section of the forest. So I'll put this back on the workbench, and we're going to pull out not another larch next. The other forest is really, really thick. Let's get that one cleaned up. We go from the larch forest to the Minnesota forest. And we have some issues going on with this forest. We have some death of some of the maples that tried to survive. We've got some leaf burn or possible fungus going on there. And then we have all kinds of leaves that look a little rough shape. But I know the reason why those are rough shape. And that's because of the Japanese beetle. So they're going to create some of the pruning decisions for me. I'm not going to touch any of the dwarf Alberta spruce in the back. They've got some little bit of young growth still on there, and they're just fine. We're going to let them keep doing their thing this year. But we will cut down on the elms. We'll cut down on this ash tree, or not the ash tree, but this is either a cottonwood or the aspen tree, but I don't think it's an aspen. This one back here is a similar tree, and it just really took off. But we're going to just clean up this forest a little bit. So let's go ahead and start here on the left side. We got this tree right in front, our nice little Siberian elm that the Japanese beetles apparently really like. So we're going to go ahead and trim this guy down. Get rid of some of that damage from the bugs. So we're going to go down to anywhere from 4 to 6 leaves on all of these. And then I'll have to keep an eye on to make sure that these bugs don't continue to wreak havoc with me on this tree. Let's go down even further on this one to right there. Big branch back here. So now we've got this thing down. We've got a little yellow leaf in there, probably not getting as much sun as some of the other parts of the tree. There is a branch way down here that just doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot. We're going to take that out, and we've got some weeds. So that first tree has been trimmed up fairly nice. Let's go down even to this one. We're directionally pruning. I want this leaf right here to maybe take off. These will be a little bit more height. This will provide a direction over here. These leaves might produce some more branches, and we'll see here as we spread out the oxen of this tree. Now as I cut this back, it reveals our damaged trees. So for some reason, these maples did not survive. So I'm just going to cut those down to a stump. Now behind this elm is this really strong, and again I thought it was, it's either a cottonwood or it's a what's the tree I'm trying to, aspen, quaking aspen. Yeah, and it's split into two here, and then there's also a small little growth back here, but we got some damage back here, so I don't think that's going to do anything. We'll go ahead and just cut this leaf off, and we'll see if anything survives there. We'll go ahead and trim this back here. Trim this one back here. Let's actually go back one more here, and we'll get maybe some new buds growing in there. I'm going to defoliate the leaves that have some brown on it just to be safe, and we'll see how that one does. The one behind it is not doing anything. We're going to cut that one off, and this one has everything growth on the top. There's a lot of stuff down here that broke apart, so I'm not sure why. We're going to go ahead and cut off the tip of this one, and we'll leave that growth right there. We've got a bud here, a bud here, a bud down here, and a bud down. We have a lot of buds down there. We'll hope to see we get a little bit of back bud down here, then we'll cut that tip off. Again, you can see some really weird growth on this maple here, but we have this brown stuff here. Not sure what's going on with this tree, so I'm just going to cut that there. I'm going to cut this one. I'm going to cut that one entirely off. We'll just leave the one new growth, and this had some growth in the back that didn't work. So we'll see what we can do with this tree, and it might not be one that survives. Got this cool little shape here. We can clean up that trunk, and if it survives, we just basically defoliated it. Another tree back here that did not survive, but it's got a sprouted up set of leaves right here. It's grown from a new spot, so it's sucked up. So we'll go ahead and we'll leave that one to do some growing as well. Almost has leaves like an elm tree, or it's a weed, but it's growing up from the base of that tree that we had in there, so we'll let it go for now. Let's move on over to the right here to these Siberian elms. Got some weeds over here. This one really took off. We're going to cut this back part off of this one and let this one shoot up some new growth. This one right here has some nice fun movement here. We're going to go ahead and cut this off there. Cut this off there. So the Siberian elm really started to take off here the second part of summer, or the middle part of summer here, the last couple of weeks. So that was really nice to see. We got a whole bunch of suckers down here too growing. So right in here, look at all that growth right in there. And their leaf we're going to cut off. We're going to cut this one off right here and see what it does. So this Siberian elm down here has a couple of suckers. We're just gonna support that, let it see what it does. There's too many trees in there for them all to survive. I think I'll take this inside one out. And I think I'll take this front one out right there too. We'll leave these two in the back. See what happens with that one. There we go. Just leave those back in there. And I think we'll cut this one back a little bit more. We'll encourage this branch over here. We'll encourage this branch over here. There's a nice big one back here. Yeah, we'll see. Give it a whole bunch more light. There's more light for these back ones. We'll see if any of these survive. We might be doing some repotting next year with this one with some new varieties as well. How about back here? Now this one I do believe was the poplar too. All these leaves look small and poplar-like, but the bigger they are, they look more like a cottonwood tree. So this one's growing really, really thick and tall. We're just going to go ahead and give it a chop. Promote some more back button down here. I have a nice split down here. So we have kind of a Y forming here. It leans this way. And then we have the growth of the new tree that broke off. Maybe a critter got that one, but there's a new branch back here. So we'll see if that sticks around. And then we got a sucker back here. This one took off just as a sucker down below the main tree here. So we have that one. Let's go down one more. No, over there. So we have these two branches here as kind of the Y. We'll hope that that one thickens up a little bit. Got some nice new buds coming on all these branches right here. I'm wondering if I should go down here, because this is the stronger branch and this one's weaker. I can make them look like they split at the same time. By making it a little bit weaker. We have a branch that could bud right there and there. Let's leave it for right now. I like the height over here to balance out the back of the forest. So again, now we made it look a little bushy down to a little bit thin because of all the stuff that's not surviving for whatever reason. So we're cutting off some branches that have some brown tips on them. And we've got some back buds in here that could go crazy here still. We'll have to wait and see. See what all this does. Got another weed back here. And even this little tree down here, this Alberta spruce, has a back bud right down here at the base. Now we won't need that tree to have a branch down there, so we'll take that one off. So there we go. Our Minnesota forest has been cleaned up. We've got a couple of healthy Siberian elms. It has a tree branch growing straight down that doesn't look natural. I think we're going to cut that one even shorter, and this one even shorter, and see what happens. We'll probably get rid of one of those branches down the road there. So there's our forest number 2, Minnesota forest number 2. Let's get that back on the bench. So my update for today are my larch trees, which are among the bench of workshop trees. So you can see after the workshop, we've gotten rid of quite a lot of trees. We got some tiger bark that we reduced in half. We've got the Green Island ficus that we reduced in half, and then all of the melon seed ficus. There's a couple of those as well that have reduced in size. But I wanted to show you a larch update since we did larch pruning today. And there's a couple of the triple plantings. That's a solo planting, and then triple planting. Look at all the nice elongation on the larches. There's another couple of the larch, a 5 and a 3. Look at all that nice growth. We'll be pruning those up a little bit later on this year. I probably will just prune them up at the end of the year and just let them keep shooting out. So we've got all of the larch there. And as we come over to my bench up here, I have some larch up there. A couple 5 groves up there. I've got a couple around here. A couple right there in front of us. All the larch doing really, really well with some really nice elongation. I think they've taken very, very well. So the larches that we put this spring into some soil are doing very, very well. Our larch update for today. Well, there we have it. The eyes are feeling a lot better. I don't need those sunglasses anymore. The sun's currently under a cloud, so that does help. We got some larch cleaned up today, showed you an update on some of the larch I planted this spring, and everything's growing and pushing out really, really well in the larch world. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. A nice light day with the larches, with the eyes, and as they get continue to be more focused, maybe we'll pull out some more trees. But until then, hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you very, very soon.